All right, welcome back to the channel Central Coast Living. In this video, we're going to talk about 5 worst things about living on the Central Coast, California, and we're going to get to it right now. All right, the first thing we need to go over, and the most important thing as you're making your way over here to the Central Coast and seeing if this is going to be the right fit for you and your family, is the skyrocketing prices here on the Central Coast. You're hearing national news of prices plummeting and all that stuff. Fine, that is to be true in some locations. However, here on the Central Coast, some things are dropping, but they are still very expensive. Our average price here in San Luis Obispo County right now, currently, when you're hearing this video or watching this video, I should say, is $1,027,269. So about $1,030,000 is our average price point, and that's just single family residence. When I add condos and other properties, it does go down slightly over the $1 million mark. When jobs here are an average of $86,000 a year, it makes no sense in addition to the job market. So again, the prices here are something of a concern. Affordability has always been the top concern for our area and our community. For this reason alone, it is our first worst thing we have here for living on the Central Coast. Now let's move on to another factor here is, okay, let's say you don't want to buy here. Well, let's talk about the rental market. The rental market also is something to be aware of and see if it's going to fit your budget. So our base price probably is around $25,000 to $3,000 per month. You can find a 1-bedroom, 1-bath studio, maybe with a bedroom, for about $1,500, $1,700. That is our rental market. Then on top of that, for affordability here, with not only the average price point, but the skyrocketing prices of things, is our groceries and our amenities. I've talked in other videos about our gas prices on the Central Coast. They're not $7 a gallon anymore, but we're in between the high $5 range to $6 range, depending on what's going on in the factors that you need to really digest as you are thinking of moving here to the Central Coast. So this is our first worst thing that you need to know about when you're thinking about moving to the Central Coast, California. So again, the high cost of living here on the Central Coast is something that you need to be aware of as you are researching our area. All right, item number 2 that you need to be aware of one of the worst things that we have here as you're living on the Central Coast is, friends, we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers to be part of our Central Coast community. More videos are coming. This encourages me to continue and bring you the information. So don't forget to subscribe and be part of this awesome community here on the Central Coast Living channel. Our traffic congestion. So our infrastructure doesn't facilitate our growing area, our community. There's new construction going up all up and down the Central Coast, and our infrastructure isn't really changing. If anything, we're trying to condense and configure things in an area that's already a little bit more of a high traffic area. We don't have a public transit that is used primarily for our area. It's limited to certain hours of the day, and there's not a lot of buses going all the time. So that is not something that we really utilize here on the Central Coast. So you will be driving, or if you are a cyclist, you definitely can cycle. We are a top rated area for cycling and bicycling here on the Central Coast. So that is an option if you want to, go to work in your work clothes and do the commute in your bicycle. So that is an option. So as time is progressing and our infrastructure really can't grow, or we can't go into 4 lanes because we utilize Highway 101, which we talk about a lot on the channel, is that you're going to frequent traffic jams at the high traffic times of the day. Early in the morning around 8 o'clock, and now between 3 and 4, we're really hitting hard with that congestion throughout the Central Coast. So again, Our traffic is something of a concern, and it's not something that we can just fix like that overnight, because the California state does not have enough money to give to the roads, apparently. So it's not something that we can come up with for funds here in the county or on the Central Coast. It needs to come from the state level, which is not something that we see on the horizon. Anything that's going to take place will take at least a decade to move forward on or make any huge configurations for the area. So again, what you see is what you get. So when you come into the area and you are experiencing the traffic and the area as how it moves along through those times of the day, that's what you're going to see throughout the Central Coast, and it's not going to change anytime soon. So please take note of that. And also, you might get behind a tractor because we're a huge ag area and tractors are very prevalent here on the Central Coast. All right, friends. So if this is your first time here, welcome. And if you are coming back, thank you for being part of the Central Coast community. We do videos for you to try to figure out where you want to land here on the Central Coast. So hopefully these will help you out. Give us a like. It helps other people just like you find this information. Give us a comment too. We love hearing from you. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future videos. And also ring that bell so you are notified every time we drop a new video. All right, friends. So if you're thinking of moving to the Central Coast, remember that we have limited job opportunities. We are not a high corporate area, so we don't have those high paying jobs, if you will. I will be doing another video on that for you, but just in general, that's just how we are here on the Central Coast. The job market here is super competitive, especially in certain industries. So as you're researching the area, be sure that you're coming with some sort of job. We do love small businesses, and those seem to thrive if it's the right thing. So if that's something that you've been thinking about on the horizon as a retirement, second career, something that you have been thinking about, this could be the place for that small business to thrive. Thing to take note of is we are not big fans of remote job opportunities. It's just not a thing here. We'd like you to show up. We'd like you to, be in the office. So that is something that in our area now at this point in the world, we are definitely more in tune to having people be in the actual office. So if that's something that you're thinking that you can do remotely here, maybe from a corporation from another state or another area that would hire you remotely. But just to say that in this area, we would have remote positions available, that's probably not going to be something that you can really count on. Just take note of that, since we're not a big metropolitan area, we don't have those corporations. We lack those corporations. So the job market is a little bit scarce compared to other areas. So just be aware of that as you're researching the area and thinking that you can make your way over here with your family or by yourself. Item number 4 on our list here of worst things that are here while you're living on the Central Coast is that we are an area that has water restrictions, and our water is of concern to many people. We were in a drought now because of our rains earlier this year. That has gone down, but we're not necessarily in the clear. So I've done reports on this before earlier in the year after the rain, and we are in a much better position. However, California is an area, a state that has a water concern. So those things are very detail oriented. We have things coming into our particular areas that are going to be helping our water situation, taking seawater, and then we have lake water from Lake Lopez for our particular South County. Then you have other reservoirs up in North County. So those are items that you should take note of. Depending on where you're going to land here on the Central Coast, is water is a concern, and water rates will probably continue to rise incrementally over the years. So again, the water situation is a concern for us, and that is something that you should be aware of as you're moving over here to the Central Coast. All right, number 5, our last item is we have natural disasters. Unfortunately, we've had wildfires, we've had mudslides, we've had an overabundance of rain hit us so hard that we had property damage this year in the state of California. rivers were flowing, dams were breaking, things of that nature were happening. That is something that is going on here in California and on the Central Coast in particular. House insurance is something you need to really dial in as you're thinking about relocating to the Central Coast, California. And also you need to be aware that some areas are high fire areas and some are flood areas. So those are things that when you're researching the area here on the Central Coast is you need to dial that in and know what insurance premium you are going to be facing or incurring. So when these things happen, we have our government step in and help, but the help is slow. And that's just something that is prevalent here in California. So these are things that you need to be aware of. You've heard of the Malibu fires. We've had some mudslides and landslides with these rains that have hit. So these are things that when you're researching the area, if you want to live up on a hill or near the ocean or near a lake, near a river, these are things that you need to really dive into and take a look at what's around you and what can impact your property and your life. All right, friends. So the only way that we can help you find that sweet spot here on the Central Coast is you've got to reach out. You got to give us a call, text, email, day, evening, weekends. It does not matter because we will have your back when you're in here to the Central Coast, California. So until the next video, we'll catch you later.